friends and fam, it's me, the Nat Chan. We're back to discuss another top 5 in console. I have a little more than 5 though, so there's some bonus games today. We're going to be discussing the PlayStation 2 today, and just to continue on from PS1 last week, we are going to be talking about a larger variety of games this time. Last time was almost all JRPGs, but we've got a little bit of a mix this time. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely some JRPGs on this list. Just a friendly reminder, I do stream over on Twitch Monday and Wednesday evenings, Friday early afternoon. If you'd like to join me, you can click down in the link below and give me a follow. Maybe we can hang out. Alrighty. So without further ado, the PlayStation 2, there are so many bonus games on this because I have a lot more games for the PlayStation 2 because the PS2 is just a great system overall. Like, it's still the top selling console of all time, I believe. I think so. I think I'm correct in that statement. But yeah, so lots of good games for that console. I'm still buying games for that console because I didn't get to play everything that I wanted to. So, number 5 is actually a tie because I could not decide between these two. They're two very different games, but both fantastic. Devil May Cry 3. This is one of my favorite franchises. This is my favorite on the PS2. As far as the 3 that were released. But yeah, the Devil May Cry series, wonderful hack and slash. Oh, you know what? Speaking of hack and slashes, hold on a minute. Also Capcom. Okay, so slot 5 just became a 3-way tie, guys. Because as I was talking about Devil May Cry, hack and slash goodness, I could not help but remember good old Onimusha. So I have 3 of these. I only got to play a little bit of the 4th one. I haven't had the chance to purchase it and finish it, but Onimusha 3 this is a fantastic title. Onimusha 1, I believe, was recently remastered and re-released for PC and other modern consoles. Just pretty much, it's like Resident Evil meets feudal Japan. This one not so feudal. Obviously, yes and no. You gotta play them. They're super good. If you like horror and you like the hack and slash of Devil May Cry, then you will like Onimusha. They're all very enjoyable. Sitting in number 3 of this 3-way tie. I mean, really, I love all 3 of them, which is why they're number 5 on the list together. But, Shadow Hearts. This is Shadow Hearts Covenant. Not Shadow Hearts. Hold on. I grabbed the wrong one. I mean, Shadow Hearts Covenant is great. But Shadow Hearts 1. This is the one that I wanted to focus on. This is also a JRPG that is darker. You're gonna notice that I like some darker titles. This is when they started like really coming out, and I was like, ooh, I'm really into this. But yeah, Shadow Hearts is a much different RPG. Sorry, I got the itchy nose there, guys. From some others that are definitely on this list as well. I highly recommend it. It is harder to find these days, at least for not a lot. Alright, moving on to number 4. The actual 4 through 5 have their own slots. Some people might be surprised that this is only number 4 for me instead of like 2 or 1, but It's okay. Still one of my favorite games of all time, but it's only number 4 on this list, and that will be Final Fantasy X. I have a lot of memories with this game, a lot of first times, a lot of emotions. I still can't hear Futeki Dena without crying. Like, I love that song, but I can't listen to the whole song because it brings me to tears. But yeah, this was the first JRPG I experienced with voice acting. A little cringy sometimes, as you know, but generally it's just really good. The world of Spira is a beautifully colored place. The music was gorgeous. The characters are generally lovable. It was just, it's, you know, and of course it had its really bizarre dress me up sequel, but you know, not terrible. I enjoyed it for what it was. But Final Fantasy sequels are just weird. And of course, if you do not have a PlayStation 2, this was remastered and re-released on both the PlayStation 3 and 4, and I believe on the Switch. I'm not sure about the Xbox. Number 3 is something totally different. This is actually in my PlayStation 2 right now because I was recently playing it. I love this game. Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. I'm a huge fan of the Tenchu franchise in general, but this was the first one that was not so difficult I wanted to die. The PlayStation 1 titles are stupidly hard. This one was actually hugely enjoyable. I have played this game so many times, and this game's really fun because it has, you can play either Rikimaru or Ayame, and they're both slightly different stories. So it's got a lot of gameplay, and actually it has an A side and a B side playthrough. So it's like the same game but with 2 different scripts. So this game has a lot of replayability, and I just highly recommend it. I can't not recommend this game enough. I love it. In fact, Tenchu Stealth Assassin's PS1. Tenchu Z. There we go. Tenchu Z is like one of the 2 reasons I wanted an Xbox 360 but never got. But my brother had it, and I played it to death when I lived at my parents' house still. Alright, number 2 on this list is Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. I am a massive fan of the Fatal Frame series in general. I have the first 3 on the PlayStation 2. I actually played the first one on the Xbox originally, but then later purchased all 3 for the PlayStation just because that's a bigger collection for me. But all 3 titles on the PlayStation 2 are excellent, but 2 is definitely I feel like that has the best story. I am going to say though, this is survival horror. This is absolutely, if you're into survival horror and you have not, there we go, and you have not played these, I highly recommend that you get a hold of them. I do know that they are available digitally, I think for the PlayStation 3? Yes, I believe so. But yeah, fantastic. Super creepy, and it has everything to do with the atmosphere and the camera angles. I could do a whole video on Fatal Frame, and maybe someday I will. Maybe we'll just talk about survival horror games one of these days. Speaking of horror, yes, this goes away from the survival horror a lot. The first third of the game does a really good job of sticking to it, but the last 2/3 of the game is where it kind of leads away. But it's still a beloved game. Lots of people love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Resident Evil 4. This is the first Resident Evil that I was actually able to play all the way through. I did not get to grow up with Resident Evil like some people. I was not allowed to play them until I was an adult and could buy my own games. So this is the first one that I played. I thought it was scary as crap the first couple playthroughs because I was not used to horror games. So these two These two were my introductory games. This one is scary as I will freaking get out. This one has had its moments. It still does, actually. Like I said, the first third of the game does a really good job with atmosphere and creepiness and tone and just everything. But I just love it. Now I play it. I've purchased it twice now. Three. Anyway, not as many times as some things, but I do have the original PS2 version that I got. I used to have a different version. I think it got lost in a move or something, and I ended up having to get the greatest hits version. But I also have it for the PlayStation 4 when they put out the HD release. Oh, I also have it on PC. So I have purchased this game a few times. It's fantastic. I love it. Leon is my husband. And yeah, moving on. So, I was gonna do these before I did one. So let's pretend like I didn't do one. Some bonus games before we get to number one. I say bonus games because these are just really good games that I wanted to mention, but they didn't necessarily fit on the list in the top 5, but they definitely need to be mentioned. So Star Ocean Till the End of Time. This one kind of sits on the fence for some fans. About halfway through, it's like, ooh, I'm not sure if I like that plot twist. I actually really love this game. It was recently remastered and put out on the PlayStation 4. I would really love to get a hold of it and play it for the channel, but honestly, I could just play this version once I get the ability to stream PS2 stuff. So yeah, Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Wonderful game. I really liked the artwork for it. For the time, it was really, it just was really good. I was recently looking at some videos for it to refresh my memory on it, and I was like, wow, that actually looks really good for how old it is. So, PlayStation 2 era is also when I started getting into Dungeons and Dragons, and I was just really into fantasy in general, and I could not, get enough Dungeons and Dragons-y things in my life. So these two games were both excellent to feed that fire. First one is Demon Stone. This is a hack and slash. You get to choose from different characters. It's set in the Forgotten Realms universe. In fact, there's even a level where you get to play Dritz Duorden from the Dritz series, and I freaking love Dritz, so this was really fun for me. Just a really enjoyable game. It was really cool. I loved it. It's like official D&D Wizards of the Coast put out. It's if you have a PlayStation 2 and you haven't played this game, please go get it. It's just really fun. Good, solid fun, especially if you're a Forgotten Realms fan. Speaking of Forgotten Realms, we're gonna go with Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate 2 is actually my favorite out of the two, but I don't actually have a copy of that one. But they recently, this is a top-down adventure, kind of like Diablo. So if you're familiar with Diablo, you could be familiar with this playstyle. It levels up just like Dungeons and Dragons 3.0. So if you're really familiar with D&D 3.0, you're gonna be really familiar with how this game works. But yeah, just super fun. Again, it's official D&D Wizards of the Coast put out. Like I said, the second one is actually my preferred game, but they did just recently remaster both of them and put them out for PS4, Switch, and maybe Xbox. Not 100% sure because I don't have an Xbox. But I will definitely be catching that remaster and playing that over on the channel. Alright, so with those bonus games out of the way, our number one title for the PlayStation 2 is Resident Evil 4. As if you didn't see that coming. But yeah, you already heard my spiel on this. I love this game. It's super ridiculous sometimes, but I'm a huge RE4 fan. Pretty much I'll play anything that Leon's in, even if it's bad. But, yeah, I love this game. I have a lot more PlayStation 2 titles than I do, I think, anything else. I could do a whole video on just the PlayStation 2 and games that I recommend, but that is going to be my top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 PlayStation 2 titles that I recommend on this top 5 of console, because slot 5 was tied for 3. But anyway, PlayStation 2, still really enjoyable, still amazing games, and really, it's just a bomb console, guys, as in da bomb, not like bomb, ooh, that did not do well. So give some of these a play if you haven't. If you have access to a PlayStation 2, you should be playing these. At least in my opinion. You know, I'm not a professional reviewer. I just like to say, hey, I thought this was cool, you might like it. But anywho, guys, thanks again so much for joining me for another episode of Top 5 in Console. I hope that maybe you found something new on this that you weren't aware of. Maybe you'll give them a try. Do you have, what are your top 5 in console? I'd be really interested to know, because like I said, I'm still purchasing games for PS2. And speaking of, if you want to recommend some PS1 titles for me, if you want to go back over to the PS1 episode and drop in the comments your top 5 PS1 games, I'm still always buying games for that too. I'm all about retro, guys. I mean, I'm all about games in general. Retro to brand new, I play them. I play them all. Anyway, I'd love to see your opinions in the comments of what your top 5 PlayStation 2 games are. Thanks again. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your, whenever you're watching this, day, night, morning, whatever. Thanks for sticking with me, and remember, if you'd like to hang out with me over on Twitch, I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I was like, what day is it? It's not Friday right now, but I do stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and if you want to join me, you can click the link down below, and I'll see you there, guys. Have a great day, and love you bunches. Hold the phone. I forgot a title, guys. Here's another bonus game. Shadow of Destiny. This is one of my first PlayStation 2 titles I ever owned. It's also one of the first PlayStation titles, well, PS2 titles that ever came out. This game has 6 different endings. You're playing this guy named Ike. He's a little bit dense, but he's likable. I like him, but you're playing this guy, and you're trying to get, you're trying to avoid being killed. Someone's trying to kill you, you don't know why, but you end up like time traveling and changing things so that you don't die. Sometimes you have to go back a few hundred years to avoid something so that you don't die. It's pretty crazy, really enjoyable. So yeah, that's your last bonus game. I digress. I love you all. I'll see you later.